What the hell is up, everybody? All right, first and foremost, I will not be able to read comments and I will not be able to respond to comments because I'm driving. I got the sun in my face and I can barely see the phone. So hopefully you guys see me okay. You can get a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Well, I was watching the opening statements of that Kyle Rittenhouse trial last night. The man's name who shall not be said aloud. Twitter banned the hashtag Kyle Rittenhouse yesterday. Big surprise. Facebook has banned the correct spelling of Kyle Rittenhouse's name since August of last year. If you spell Kyle Rittenhouse correctly on Facebook, you won't find anything. You've got to misspell it to bring up any Kyle Rittenhouse profiles. But I was watching the opening statements of that trial last night, and I'm really, really confused. I am absolutely flabbergasted, beside myself. I don't know what to think about this. Is this prosecutor trying to use the 8 Mile defense? I mean, tell me something you don't. Let me. Mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. You know, by the time he got done with his opening statement, I felt like he was just going to drop the mic and tell the courtroom to tell us something we don't already know about that night in Kenosha. Because I mean, the whole idea that he traveled across state lines with an illegal weapon, that's kiboshed. That he had a complete disregard for the law, that's kiboshed. You know, they laid out the outline of what had happened that night, and yeah, they admitted that there was a shot fired prior 2.25 seconds. Kyle, you can see the video of Kyle running across the gas station parking lot. You can see Rosenbaum throwing something at him. And then the prosecutor said that it was a shot fired by another individual, I don't know that guy's name, from within the vicinity of where Rosenbaum and Rittenhouse were having their conflict. Within 2.24 seconds of Rittenhouse hearing a shot fired coming from behind him, he spun around, saw Rosenbaum with his t-shirt off, yelling, carrying on, and even the prosecutor said that Rosenbaum put his hands up in a what are you going to do about it gesture. Look, Kyle showed him what he was going to do about it. I'm going to put 4 of them in your ass. I'm really bewildered on this, you know. I mean, there really is no case to begin with. The only thing that is in question, there's 2 things that are in question in this case. Was Kyle Rittenhouse in illegally possession of a firearm due to being a minor? I would say yeah. I've read the exception in Wisconsin law for the exemption for hunting. And unless Kyle was out in Kenosha hunting, I don't think that exception is going to apply to Kyle in this scenario. And if we do establish that Kyle was hunting, well, then what was he hunting? We're back to a worse scenario. So I think the country will be better off to see Kyle go ahead and be found guilty on the illegal weapons charge because he was in possession of a rifle prior to being 18 years old. I understand there's a provision in Wisconsin law that allows for minors to be in possession of rifles or long guns if they're hunting in the act of hunting. I don't think that was the case here. And I think that if Kyle's lawyer can get the two murder charges dropped and the assault with intent to kill dropped, I know that's not the exact name of the charge, but that's what they would call it in Ohio. I think they might as well just go ahead and call that a win. And then the second part that they're going to have to establish is, was the first shooting justified when he shot Rosenbaum? Now, based on what the prosecution said in their opening statements last night, I mean, the defense attorney could have almost just stood up and said, you know what, Your Honor, after listening to the prosecution's opening statements, the defense rests. And there's really, I mean, after the prosecuting attorney got up and gave his opening statement, I mean, it sounded to me like the case was pretty much shut and dry. Closed. It's a no-brainer. But, we're still going to go ahead and hear the witnesses and go through this whole shenanigans and spend several $1 million of the taxpayers' money to prove that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense, to prove that even though Kyle Rittenhouse was a minor in possession of a long gun, that you're still allowed to defend your own. You are allowed to defend yourself, even if you're not lawfully allowed to have the weapon. A felon can pick up a weapon and use it in defense of their own life or the life of those around them. And at the end of the day, the only charges that felon should be looking at facing would be the weapons under disability charge, because he wasn't allowed to have a weapon. But as long as the shooting was justifiable, as long as the shooting was clean, the felon should not, in the world that I understand, the felon should not face any kind of criminal charges for the act of shooting. They're not making an example out of him. The kid's going to walk. I mean, you should really, if you haven't seen it yet, you should go listen to the opening statements from the prosecutor last night. There's no way. There's just simply no way that they're going to find him guilty on these charges unless there's some information that I simply just don't know about. Based on what I seen in the opening statements last night, it's a slam dunk. I don't even understand why it was brought to trial, other than the fact that he was a minor with a weapon. There was a question of whether he brought it across state lines. The prosecutor's opening statement last night vindicated Rittenhouse of any wrongdoing in regards of bringing a firearm across state lines, bringing an illegal firearm across state lines. He did not do that. That weapon was bought in Kenosha and had stayed in Kenosha with a young man that had bought it for Kyle. Kyle had went and got a friend to go buy him a weapon. Now that poor kid's probably going to get fucked in the A, because he knowingly bought a weapon for a person that wasn't allowed to legally have one. I would say that kid, I think his name was Black. I don't remember that. I want to say Josh Black, but that might just be because I know a Josh Black here locally. But that kid's probably going to end up getting hemmed up pretty hard, because he did, in fact, knowingly buy a weapon for a person that's not allowed to have one. Kyle was a minor at the time. Kyle's dad could have bought it and kept it in his possession until Kyle turned 18. But by this other guy going and doing it, this other kid going and doing it, that in fact made it a straw purchase, which is no bueno. You're not allowed to do that. Especially knowing that the person that you're giving the weapon to isn't lawfully allowed to have it yet. And that's the whole wording in the law, is that you've got knowingly. If you knowingly do this, well, then it's your ass. And the kid that bought the rifle for Kyle knowingly bought a weapon for a person that was underage. So I'd say he's probably screwed. He's probably going to end up that, and because nobody really is paying attention to him, no attention is going to him. That case is quietly going on in the background and nobody's giving it any attention. They're probably going to crucify his ass. They're probably going to max him on everything that they could, just to make an example out of him. I saw a comment from someone saying, making an example, so we were afraid to defend ourselves. And you're right. The ideology in our nation right now is that they don't want us to defend ourselves. They want us to be victims. So I'm not saying that that's not 100% true, the comment that I saw. There is an agenda to brainwash the population into thinking that we're too incompetent to take care of ourselves or to defend our own lives. But yeah, man, back to this Rittenhouse thing. I don't see how it goes any other way. You know, like I said, as long as they can establish, and I believe they have, yeah, you're a victim. I know you are. But as long as they can determine that the first shooting was justified for the versus the Rosenbaum, the other two shootings are a no-brainer. I mean, in the world that I live in, where you use just a shred of little common sense, to me, it's a no-brainer. That guy came in with a skateboard, tried to whack him, tried to take his gun. Kyle popped his ass. Kyle might not have even meant to pop his ass. The way that that kid was yanking on that rifle, he may have inadvertently caused Kyle to pull the trigger. Pulling that rifle away from him while Kyle has his hand on the trigger, he may have inadvertently caused Kyle to shoot him by pulling on that rifle the way that he did. But he had it coming either way. You know, and then the other jackass, you know, we're going to call him, we'll call him Forearm Guy. Forearm Guy comes running up on Kyle. He sees Kyle pop Skateboard Dude. Skateboard Dude ain't even on the ground yet. And Forearm Guy throws his hands up like, oh, no, I'm sorry. And then he turns himself in a position to try to get an advantage over on Kyle, and Kyle pops his ass too. The only mistake Kyle made in that situation right there is that he left Forearm Guy alive. Forearm Guy was still a threat to Kyle. Even though Forearm Guy's forearm was shot in half, when Forearm Guy spun around to retreat, it would have been very easy for Forearm Guy to have switched that pistol to his offhand and turned all the way back around and started delivering rounds on Kyle. In my opinion, Kyle allowed a potential threat to walk away. You know, Kyle's lucky that guy didn't turn around and put that weapon in his offhand and shoot Kyle to death. And it's a very real possibility. Yeah, I can't read the comments. I'm driving. Forearmless guy. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bounce off here. I'm getting to a place to where I'm going to lose service. Live your life to the fullest, because anything less is an injustice to yourself and every single person around you. Pay attention to what's going on in your world. Stay free, America. Until next time.